Hey guys, it's Joey, and today's video is going to be a quite serious talk about one of the four sort of guidelines of the Witch's Creed, and this one is to be silent. And I wanted to talk about this in relation to something I've noticed going on, which is the pushing of other people to share their information. And this particularly concerns me when the people being pushed to share their information are quite young. The individual's path within being a witch is sacred to that individual. Only when that individual has reached a point where they feel comfortable sharing what they want to share, when the idea is their own, from meditating with their goddess, should they then consider sharing that information. Whether or not they share their information should be based on their own experience, how they feel about a situation, and not whether or not somebody else thinks they should. It's not pressuring other people for information, or, I don't even know why someone would do it, but this is the second time I've heard this week, so apparently it's going on. I studied for 5 years before I started practicing. I've been actively practicing, I don't know for how long now. But until I was solid in my foundation of what I knew and believed to be true and pursued what I wanted, I kept silent. I kept silent because there is a measure of aggressive behaviour that comes from outside influences, from trolls, from people who don't want to hear it, and people who are quite nasty and quite aggressive. Now, can you imagine the repercussions of these people being angry and nasty to those who are new to the path or are young? If the people who are pressuring these other people do not have the information themselves, do not have the ability to go out and research and possibly, I don't know, I think it's horrid to pressurize young people and make them think it's their idea. And when you are young, you're at a point of your life that you should be exploring. You should not be feeling pressures from anywhere of any kind to do any kind of research or share anything which is outside your own path. Because what next? Personal details? The ins and outs of young people's lives? We have to be so careful with our relationships with young people. People who aren't 18. There are procedures in place where you can be accused of a crime for influencing the very young. This is not to say that younger people do not have something to contribute to the community and the YouTube community, and if they wish to make videos by their own merit, then that is their choice, and the responsibility therefore is theirs, and I assume to do with the parents as well, knowing what their child is sharing on the internet. Adults should not be pressurizing children to make videos. In fact, forget it. Anybody should not be pressurizing anybody to make anything that they are not driven to in their own way, in their own mind, in their own space. Spirituality is sacred. It is personal. All of our thoughts, beliefs, and morals are based on a life journey. I won't accept mail for gifts or anything like that from anybody under 18. For the very simple reason that whilst I appreciate offers very, very much, I will not take advantage of someone under 18 in any way. Because it's easy for youngsters to look up to older witches and things here on YouTube and anywhere and want to be part of that experience, want to share that with them, and they look up to them and want to send them things for whatever reason. And I'm sure it's in the goodness of their hearts that they want to send things, absolutely. But I cannot, in a good conscience, accept things from youngsters, and I wouldn't send things to young people either without strict parental permission. I just wouldn't do it. Spirituality is something that should not be forced on children, young people. And as far as I'm concerned, under the age of probably 18. I mean, it's 16 here in the UK, but 18 is safer. That's not to say that younger people do not have some incredible life experiences and some incredible opinions to share. They absolutely do. And the ones that are ready to share their path and their experiences and their newness and come out, you can tell that they have done it on their own steam. They haven't been pushed into it by anybody. And they're ready. That's where they're at. They may have the emotional maturity to make videos on their path. That's fine. I've always been very emotionally mature, and at age 18 I was not as mature as I am now, but I probably could have made videos. They would not be as full and rich as mine are now, just because of my life experiences now, and that's just me. That's not to say anything bad about anybody who's younger. And none of this is at all a criticism of anybody who is younger, because if you are younger and you're out there and you're sharing and you're learning and you're wanting to improve yourself, that's a blessed thing. But that is your path. It's your opinions. Nobody else should be allowed to take your opinions off, and profit from them in some way. Nobody should be allowed to steal your thoughts or your crafts or anything like that just because you're younger and you might not see what they're doing. It's absolutely not acceptable. And up to a certain point in my path, I wouldn't even discuss it person to person because I wasn't ready. I hadn't explored as thoroughly as I had wanted to. I wasn't there yet. And I was pressured by people to start practicing back then, and I have experienced that pressure firsthand from individuals who should not be influencing younger people. That happened to me, and I refused to allow that to happen to me because even then I was quite strong in I'm not going to be pushed around. But there are people out there are the young and the influential, and I always think of it this way: if I was their parent and I found out that another person my age had said this to them or had sent them something or had pressured them into making videos on YouTube of any kind, how would I feel? And if I think that would piss me off as a parent, then I would never in a million years engage in that sort of behaviour. The sharing of information it should be sacred within this path. It is sacred to their life path, and you should not pressure anybody to share anything they don't want to, especially those who have not journeyed for as long as others. If someone is young, and I don't understand how this is even coming to pass, but I have seen this happen on more than one occasion this week, and it's ugly. It is truly, truly ugly. Yeah. The young, and people under 18 have a lot to give, okay? This is not to belittle anything that anybody has been through. Not at all. That is not to say that young people might not have a lot more experience than somebody who is older. For example, I have been studying in some form or other most of my life, and I've had influences of it most of my life. So at age 18 I probably was more informed than some people who were in their 60s and had only just taken it up for maybe a couple of months. It's not about age necessarily. However, we have to recognise that young people are coming into adulthood and have a long way to go, and it's like I said, if you wouldn't be comfortable with that behaviour as a parent, then you shouldn't be behaving that way with a younger individual who perhaps is impressionable. It's difficult to say on in general, because it's on an individual to individual basis, but it definitely, absolutely should not be pressuring anybody into sharing anything that they are not ready to do. If suggesting things, it's just, when somebody is ready to share something from their path in their YouTube sense or in any sense, in a forum or whatever, that will come to them on their own. It is part of their creative process by themselves to discover. When they feel ready to reach out and discuss and debate, they will be ready on their own, and should not have anybody telling them, yeah, let's go do this, yeah, let's make this, or why don't you do this. And it's just manipulating young people. When young people are ready, they will share on their own. So that's going to be it for today's video. Many blessings.